And now Nico Diaz will come in for Macumba. He was the first one to score in their winner against St. Louis last week, and the first one on the board tonight.
Ba is such a fun player, and Nico Diaz is a fun player, so to be able to rotate guys the way they do, it's just a really dynamic group that they can play in those wide forward positions.
He's a guy they're really excited about. COVID allowed him to play in that spring season without burning a year of eligibility. So he's pretty darn experienced considering what his class is. Just a sophomore, but he's got 3 playing seasons under him now if you count this year. And the coaches felt like he really came on at the end of last fall.
Yeah, and so creative with the ball at his feet. Great cutting inside. He wants to shoot it when he can. And that's what they've got with all these different options out wide. I mean, it is a much deeper group. And I know Diaz was here last year, but it is a deeper group having that experience that you mentioned, Matt, in him. And then we're going to see a couple of these other guys as who they use as weapons out wide soon.
And they still don't have Ugo Achara, the transfer from Northwestern who played last season. He's battling a bit of an injury. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. Still without Patrick Idukevich. And Dante Huckabee out for the season with an ACL. So they could get even deeper here very soon. Saunders Road, a little 1-2 action with Jorgalides. Down goes Jorgalides, but not enough for Lucas Feathers. But now Diaz, a little chip shot looking for Saunders Road. Look at this little 1-2.
Ooh, I don't know. Well, he's in traffic. It's unclear if he would have still retained the ball after the cutback, but that was also a little bit late. I don't know.
If you got the yellow jersey, are you blowing the whistle there?
There's a reason I don't have it. I mean, I might have, but
it takes courage to wear that jersey.
It takes a lot of courage, and they don't get enough credit.
Here's a run from Eric Dankwa. And muscled away by 2 maroon jerseys. And then down goes Bryce LaBelle on a hard tackle from Logan McGrath. Nolan McGrath, rather, a player that appeared in all 17 matches last year, but largely off the bench. And Tim Chastanet, who lost a number of the program's most elite players, said he's one of those guys that is stepping into a new role this year as an every match starter, as Josh Jones just misses, tucking it inside the right post. So McGrath is out, Shust is in for Bellarmine. Meanwhile, for Louisville, Damian Barker-John, just a spark plug from Queens, New York. He comes on. And the Kentucky transfer, Brendan McManus, as well.
Barker-John, I think, was the most effective and best player against St. Louis the other day. He was absolutely electric, a spark plug. One of those guys, whenever the ball was at his feet, you just kind of held your breath wondering what he might do. So we'll see if he can recapture that mojo again tonight.
What do you think about this comp? John Michael Hayden said he sort of reminds me of Elijah Amo.
Okay, I could see that. He's got a lot of that same juice to him where it's like, you know, at any second, the ball at his feet, I mean, he could just skip past someone and get in line. And that is just a really dangerous type of player. He reminds me of a ACC college freshman version of Raheem Sterling. Just a really, really fun player to watch. Gets in line and can pick a pass. I mean, there's a lot to like about him.
I think he'll take the Sterling comp all day long.
This is one of the best players in the world.
Here is Barker John, turning it back into the middle. Barker John dancing. Had the shot altered. And booted away by Brozovic. We all remember how fast Elijah Amo was, both with the ball and without. John Michael Hayden says that man on your screen right there might be even faster than Elijah Amo.
Well, and what we loved about watching Amo and what we are intrigued by Barker John is they're not only fast, but it's what they can do with the ball at their feet.
There's a header from Brandon McManus. You know he's just chomping at the bit to put one in. By all accounts, he's had a heck of a preseason build-up, and that's why he's getting so much time to start the season at that 9 position.
Well, and it's all about depth. And look, when you've got a guy like Abubakar Kamara, this is a guy who everybody is going to be paying close attention to every game. So you need to have someone else who you can bring off the bench and not only spell Kamara, but also provide just a little something different. He's a hard worker, McManus, and as you said, I mean, he's really stuck out to everybody around the program for the work he's done leading up to this season.
A Louisville guy that got away momentarily. Went over to the enemy at the University of Kentucky and then made his way back to Louisville.
Are they rivals? Are you sure?
Well, maybe just a little bit.
You only hear about it every day in every interaction with anyone who is from this state.
Do you wear red or do you wear blue?
I moved here, and it was a rude awakening how serious it was.
Barker John with the theatrics. So much pressure from Louisville early in this match. How long can Bellarmine withstand it before conceding another? And a foul will give it back to the Knights.
One of my favorite parts about these games, Matt, is you can just hear everything.
Well, we like to keep it open air up here in the broadcast booth. Get the full experience. It is a gorgeous night. A lot of rain in the area ahead of kickoff. Just a slight delay, but it has turned into another pretty scene for this in-city rivalry between the Bellarmine Knights and the Louisville Cardinals. These two programs separated by just a couple of miles. And there is the all-time series history. 6-6-3. Of course, they last met a season ago. It was 1-0 in favor of the Cards. But before that match last year, they hadn't met since 1987. Tim Chastonnay said, even all these years that I've been here in Louisville building up this powerhouse D2 program, we never even so much as had a scrimmage at the University of Louisville until last season.
I think it's great, and it's a quick drive down Eastern Parkway. A couple of nice campuses, a lot of fun soccer progress for both of these teams over the years. Of course, Louisville at the D1 level and Bellarmine at the D2 level. So I'm glad it's rekindled here in recent years.
Here is Sonderode again. This time a ball goes back post. And there it is. Brandon McManus on the score sheet in game 2. And it's a 2-goal lead for the Cards. And you see what it means to him and his teammates. A guy that has just worked and worked and worked all preseason, earning the opportunity to be with the ones in the 9 spot, and he delivers.
Well, this is just perfect timing. He muscles his way in and just finds that spot. I mean, when you play a dangerous corner in like that, and that was a really good corner, you just want to put it into an area in between the center backs or whoever the top marking figures are in your set piece defending, and McManus found that space and just drilled it.
Who do you think he was calling after the goal?
I don't know. I feel like that was a Drake-related celebration. That's about 5 years too late, but hey, whatever works for you, my guy.
Diaz, now Barker John, and what a stop by Matthew Brozovic. That was about to be a 3-goal lead. And Brozovic getting back post quickly.
Sorry, partner. Both of those guys between McManus and then Barker John, it's really hard to volley it like that. And I think McManus got it before it hit the ground. But either way, even if it's on the half volley, I mean, that is a very high technical skill thing. And for McManus to score it and Barker John to get it on frame, pretty impressive.
Down goes Barker John. Play on, says Lucas Feathers. Bellarmine's got to start to stretch this game out a little bit more. They have been on their heels since kickoff. And a run on the right side from Brock Pope. Unable to find him.
We haven't said his name a whole lot tonight thus far, but I'd love to see Hazik Zed get on the ball a little bit. Number 10 for Bellarmine. Really impressive kid. See if they can get him to cause some problems.
Parker Forbes is going to come on for Philip Fredall. And for Bellarmine, Thomas Stickley and Joey Gladys coming on for the final 15 minutes of the first half. And the first time today that Gavin Kroenke has had to touch the ball. Simple basket, tap, catch, and away we go. Made some really nice plays coming off his line against St. Louis last week, did Kroenke. Quentin Elliott into the area. He was looking for McManus, and it's out for a corner.
Louisville has just done a really good job of mixing up how they're getting into space, using direct play sometimes, being creative with their runs and playing out into space. And it's been difficult for Bellarmine to track all the different runners and defend set pieces above all else.
Back post again, in swinging ball, and it's kicked away. And Sonderode has delivered a couple of beauties on these corner services.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's a good player.
And you know, John Michael Hayden said it last year when Sonder was a freshman. He said he's really a set piece specialist, and we weren't sure that that is what he was when he came to campus, and we haven't had one like him in many years, but he is somebody that can truly affect the game simply with the service.
Yeah, I mean, and he always seems to pick the right delivery too, whether it's whipped in or lofted looking for Josh Jones. He always seems to have the right idea about it.
Assisted on 3 of 5 with the set piece service last year. And already has 1 assist tonight with the set piece service, finding Brennan McManus. It is a 2-goal lead for the Cards, just a shade over 10 minutes to play in the first half. And now Barker John to Dankwa, and Brozovic tipping it away for another corner.
It's a tough thing about Louisville. They just have so many weapons that A guy like Danko, you'd say he's probably, what, 5th or 6th down the list of guys you would think would score goals, but he's a pretty darn good player himself. You can't give any of them any space. That's what Brozovic was saying after the save, is you've got to go full bore into defending him.
Bryce LaBelle, across the mouth of goal. Sample unable to save it, and it's a goal kick, but that was a tasty delivery from Bryce LaBelle, who himself scored on a header last week against St. Louis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful goal that he scored in that game.
David Bacuzzo coming on for Louisville. Bacuzzo, the freshman from Orlando, Florida, making his Louisville regular season debut tonight.
This is the mirror opposite of the last matchup between these two teams, Matt, when the door just stayed open for the whole game and took extra time for them to decide. And Louisville has just killed it off here in this first half and very much looks like a team that is comfortable in the lead too.
Well, there is no more overtime, Jeff, and Louisville's a team that played a lot of overtime games last year. Got to get it done in 90 now.
Yeah, thank God. I never understood it.
Folks,
never understood
if you at home were unsure where Jeff Greer stood on the overtime or no overtime, you just found out.
I don't want my basketball games and my hockey games or that's a bad example, my football games to be ties, but soccer, the sport, has ties. And you go home and you say, we shared the spoils tonight, that's it. And
a point aside.
A point aside. And I just, for player safety in addition to the rest of it, I just think it's just logical. Just let them play 90 minutes, and then when they get to the postseason, that's when you do the extra time, like they do in every other competition in the world when they're playing this sport.
Maybe an opportunity here, and it's staved off by Quentin Elliott. Well, that's how it is, too, as you get to the higher levels here in professional soccer in the United States. There is no overtime.
No. They tried it. They tried all these gimmicky things and dribbling in on a penalty shootout and all these ridiculous things. It's like, just play the game the way everyone else plays it because it's fun. It's fine. So I'm happy for these guys. They're not having to play extra 20 minutes once or twice a week, especially once they get into league play, and it's so taxing on their bodies.
Well, and certainly in the Atlantic Coast Conference, there isn't a league more taxing than that one, at least in men's college soccer anyway. Louisville has 8 matches as it stands right now against the country's top 25. 6 of those are league opponents.
Yeah, that's just absolutely a murderous schedule to have to play.
Barker John flashing the Jets. Tried to slip it to McManus. Well done by McManus. He wins it back for Louisville. And yet another corner kick opportunity for the Cards.
Well, and how about McManus? You can tell how much his teammates love him because scored the goal. They were all very excited about it. But it's the hustle plays, it's the work ethic that gets your teammates excited and doing it there from the front.
Orsolini looking for the counter. He is stopped in his tracks by Nico Diaz.
Well, it's tough, but you also have to be very decisive and quick when you're trying to counterattack against a team that, one, is just so athletically talented, but two, has a lot of pace. You've just got to be able to make a quick decision and go with it.
And a team that's improved defensively. That was one of the big points of emphasis in the offseason. Louisville conceded too many goals last year. 26, third most in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And John Michael Hayden has pointed out guys like Abu Kamara, Sonder Road. This year, it's evident their effort to get back and defend.
Right. I mean, you could just see it there. I mean, they had 5 guys who were tracking back in transition. They were vulnerable there last year. They were vulnerable on set pieces. And they've done a nice job so far this year.
Wait.
5 minutes left in the first half. This is that danger area for Louisville. Don't want to concede here going into the locker room. And Kornacki gloves. This has been about as dominant a first half as you could ask for John Michael Hayden. No lag kicking this match off like we saw against St. Louis. Or as our producer Bobby Blankenship likes to say, all gas, no brakes. You like that terminology, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Keeps it spicy.
That's right. Here is Dankwa. Played back in by Forbes. Diaz directing the offense, but the offside flag comes up from Chad Collins. Diaz, I have a feeling, Jeff, is going to be one of those guys that we look back on after his 4 years are up and say that was a special player. He really hasn't. He's not one of those guys that flies above the radar here at Louisville because there's so much talent around him, but he can flat out score the ball.
He can, and whether that's in the role that he's seen so far this season coming off the bench as an impact guy, or we saw him in the starting role last year a couple of times as well. I mean, he's got that ability to just go right at defenders, and coaches love players like that. So he's got a lot to like.
Scored a ridiculous amount of goals in the MLS Academy setup as a youth player coming up in Florida. Just ahead of his time at Louisville, made the switch over to Inter Miami. Coming from a rich pedigree. And the fans want another one. Never satisfied here at Louisville. That's the standard they have set. 13 trips to the NCAA tournament in the last 15 seasons as Eric Dankwa down and seemingly in a lot of pain as the card has been shown to Thomas Stickley.
It looks like he got caught down the back of his ankle there, his Achilles. Could be wrong, but it is painful. And it's a slippery night here. They were still watering the surface before the game, even after it had been pouring out. So got to be a little bit even more challenging for guys to play on. Yeah, he was first to it and got clipped on the back of that ankle. That does not feel good, I promise you that.
So Stickley heads to the bench after the booking. Final 3 minutes of the first half here in Louisville. And Brennan Barrera has come on for Bellarmine. Barker John. Getting a chuckle out of the
hungry for more.
The fans who want to see another goal. Somebody's got to keep him motivated.
Yeah, I love it. Well, they can probably hear him too. He's got a nice, he's got a nice shout to him.
Really good crowd on hand tonight, in spite of the weather and the later than usual kickoff. For this crosstown rivalry with Bellarmine just a couple of miles down the road here in Louisville. Now Saunders Road. And an opportunity. McManus had it punched away by Brozovic.
And Brozovic has been under significant pressure, and I know that first goal he'll want back that got under him, but he has made a number of important reflex saves for Bellarmine to keep this thing at 2-0.
Final 90 seconds, and Brozovic punches it away again. Saunders Road keeps it alive. Oh, and a hard tackle. Very hard tackle. Might we see something from Lucas Feathers here? I believe it was Parker Forbes coming in behind the play. And nothing from Feathers. Offside flag is up. Bellarmine just desperate to create some type of a chance and put a little bit of pressure on Gavin Kornacki. He's touched the ball maybe 2-3 times in this first half.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating, but if they are going to get back into this game, Bellarmine's got to figure out ways to get set pieces and be able to play something into the area and have a bunch of guys available for it, but it's not looking like they're going to be able to score the run of play the way they're playing right now.
Counter opportunities haven't been there either.
Really, no. And it's tough because Louisville is a type of team where it's going to take all 10 outfield players to defend them. And as a result, you're going to have guys caught back defending, and it's hard to make those sprints to get out on the counter.
Pretty good first half from the Cards.
An excellent first half. Put the game in their hands early on. Be real creative.
Handful of substitutions coming on, including Rafael Pinzon making his 2022 debut.
And that's what these games can be for both teams, the opportunity to try some different guys out. Bellarmine has really tightened up the hatches a little bit here in the second half and been a little bit more difficult to break down, and they've also been forcing Louisville to have to use its center backs a little bit more as well.
Pinzon, number 6, in for Eric Dankwa, so he'll be playing in the middle of the park for Louisville, as Brandon McManus gave Matthew Brozovic a lot to think about in that exchange.
Brozovic, I think, understandably was really mad at himself for that for the first goal, but I think he's acquitted himself pretty well here after that with the way he's played.
There's Fred Hall, one of the freshmen that will see a significant amount of playing time this season for John Michael Hayden. LaBelle wins it back. Saunders Road. Out to Damian Barker-John. One of the things that John Michael Hayden wanted to see more of in this match was crisper passing. Something that lacked early in the match against St. Louis. We've seen it. I don't know about you, Jeff, but for me, we've seen it since the ball game kicked off.
Yeah, Louisville has just been really dialed in, and I think it helps. They've got a nice crowd here tonight, but they've been really dialed in, which is actually even more impressive considering the delay to this game. They had a little bit of about a half an hour or so delay to get going, and they've just been very crisp throughout and have been in pretty good control of this game.
Here's Diaz, curling it, carried away by Brozovic. Now Road tracking it down. Brozovic has been terrific tonight. I know he's allowed 2 goals, including one that he would love to get back, one through his hands, but he has made 3 times as many stops as have goals gone past him.
I think he's up to 6 saves now, and they've all been pretty good saves.
There's another look at it. This was from way out from Nico Diaz.
And it bend on it, a lot of power and bodies in front of Brozovic. So good job to understand there's nobody on your back post and be able to just kind of parry it away like you said, Matt. Sometimes that's easier to do in that situation. The ball's diving, it's got spin on it, a lot of power. Try to catch that thing, you might fumble it with McManus right on the doorstep.
Barker-John right back to him. Tried to tic-tac-toe it to Pinzone. Fredall into the attack.
That's a great example there, Matt, of Louisville's ability to get back in transition, because Hazik Zed collected the ball. He had runners ahead of him. It looked like Josh Jones was out of position, but Louisville did such a good job scurrying back that Zed had to turn and dribble back and play the back pass instead of doing anything forward.
What do you work on in a match like this? Up 2-0. You've maintained a level of dominance from the start. You got 20 minutes left.
Well, I also think to be smart, Louisville still has to understand one goal makes this thing awfully interesting now.
Yeah.
Bellarmine hasn't exactly threatened a whole lot, but I think you still have to be mindful of your ability to see out a lead. But it's a great opportunity to get some other guys in the game, and like you've said a moment ago, see if you can keep that passing network going with different faces out there.
Diaz this time in, swinging ball, back post. LaBelle had it on frame, but he's whistled for the foul.
I admire Bryce's desire in the air, but he is just caught there a little bit too aggressive, trying to get up and over.
Bellarmine putting up a good fight in the second half, no doubt. And that's what you can come to expect from a team coached by Tim Chastanet. He's been the head coach since 1998, the top grossing movie that year, Armageddon.
Wow. I took my,
how about the phone, the Nokia 5110?
I took my 8th grade girlfriend to see Armageddon, Matt Schumacher. That was the big movie back in the day.
You know who won the NBA championship that year? Michael Jordan's Bulls.
That would have been the safe bet. 98 was what, the Jazz?
Maybe. I got to get back and watch another 10 episodes of
I think everybody would
The
like
Last
to watch
Dance.
a few more of those.
That's an interesting movie choice for a date, Armageddon. It's kind of heavy.
You're in 8th grade. It's the most popular movie. It's like everyone went to see Titanic. It's not the most. It's not the most romantic laugher of a movie, but everybody went to see it back in the late 90s.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I took my wife to see 12 Strong when we were dating.
Okay.
That was a pretty heavy movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is Diaz. This time with the right foot, chipping it for Pinzone. But now Philip Fredol. He wanted to turn to Damian Barker-John. Instead, it's back out to Diaz. Has a go on the volley. That was ambitious from the sophomore out of Florida. You got to think if he continues to get the minutes that he has to start the season, he is going to put a few away by the time this year is said and done.
Well, he like you said, ambitious. That's such a great word for Nico Diaz because that's kind of everything he is when he's on the field. He is a guy who just wants to go at people. He wants to score goals, and he's going to keep trying. He's not going to stop. It doesn't matter if they're trying to see this game out. There's some guys who are just wired like that.
He's basically not come off the field since he was subbed on midway through the first half.
He's been really bright tonight. He looks like a guy who's up for it.
One of the things that John Michael Hayden has said about him, at times his freshman year, a little too casual. Not playing with that ambition that you just described, Jeff. He's shaking that off now in year 2. And part of that you could probably attribute to the fact that he was able to play during that COVID fall, get some more acclimation to the college game because it is a jump, particularly coming to the ACC.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you've got to get your legs under you pretty quickly, and you hate to think that there's a benefit from COVID, but to be able to get a waiver for an extra year to come in, and coaches constantly talk about the ability of guys to get through spring to get ready for the fall, and that was huge for him.
And that year, of course, they played a split season.
Yep.
There was the fall and the spring, an opportunity to train in the middle, although sparingly due to the COVID protocols. By the way, the match over in Lexington tonight, final. UK winners 1-0 over Seattle, who will come to Louisville on Friday night after taking down a top 5 Notre Dame team 3-1 to start the season.
Yeah, that's a fun matchup. It was a fun matchup. In the Seattle game, too. I mean, Louisville, Kentucky, we were all going to circle that one in any sport. But Seattle is coming here with a lot to prove. It's been a long road trip, and they are a very good program. So this is going to be another great opportunity for Louisville to test itself.
Spending the week in the Bluegrass State.
There are worse places to spend a week.
Hopefully for their sake, they're getting out of Lexington tonight and coming straight here. Just kidding. Just kidding.
All right.
Here's the upcoming schedule for Louisville. So we talked about that Kentucky game, of course, on the 6th. And right after that, Duke at home. And they'll close it out with a road trip to Boston College and then Florida Gulf Coast, who's in the Atlantic Sun with this Bellarmine team. Bellarmine knocked them out of the tournament last year in the quarterfinal, which was the Knights' first postseason win at the Division I level. No sleepers on that slate.
No. I was worried that this game wasn't going to happen, Matt. The way the radar looked, the thunder and lightning and the rain driving through Louisville, and the radar did not look like it was going to let up, and here we are. Clear night. It's cooled off quite a bit, and it's been perfect playing weather.
Delightful. Louisville's playing like it's behind right now.
That's
2-0.
good. That's good. Keep going. I mean, this is what you need to do with your team after last season, trying so hard to teach itself how to hold on to games and win games. You need to keep that sharp edge, and I'm sure John Michael Hayden's excited about that.
Barker John weaving, leaves it off for Diaz, has a go, and another top-notch save by Matthew Bravovich. Unbelievable, tipping it over the top bar.
Yeah, this has been a really good goalkeeping display from Brazovich. What an excellent save. Shots dipping under the bar. Nico Diaz just knows how to score goals. That is diving under the crossbar, but an excellent save.
That was a full extension punch out by Brazovich. He has made some incredibly acrobatic saves.
Really impressive guy, and he's played really well tonight.
Now headed down, might have been a hand on it in the scrum, and finally cleared away by the Knights back line. And Damian Barker-John. So slippery, he's down, and the advantage given, and a free kick opportunity coming for Louisville, maybe 25 yards out.
This guy is just so good and so quick, and he's going to draw a lot of fouls this season for Louisville. He is to bring him off the bench, to start him, whatever you want to use him as. I mean, he is a real threat.
Diaz, Brazovich again. Diaz throws his arms up in total dismay. How has that not found the back of the net?
Goalkeeping, just an excellent display. And the funny thing is he takes a step to his left first. So for him to be jumping off his back foot back across the goal as it's diving away from him and get a hand on that.
9 saves, yeah. All of them superb. Oof. And how about that curve?
Oh yeah,
on the free kick from Nico Diaz.
Yeah, he hit that thing with venom.
Aiden Nokas in to take the corner, fresh off the bench. Pinzone, and he is whistled for the infraction. Tell you what, if there were any questions about Matthew Brazovich being able to replace Connor Range, those have been answered tonight.
Yeah, and he had been called into duty a couple other times previously, so it was good for him to have had the experience for Bellarmine, and you can see the athleticism, the shot stopping ability is really, really good.
2 matches down for this Louisville team. 2 convincing wins. What have you learned about the Cards so far in 2022?
Look, I mean, I think we're getting a chance to watch them see out a game today. It's been very much in control. That's something that John Michael Hayden really wanted his team to show this season. And the St. Louis game, they just stormed back, got goals, showed that they have electricity about them, a lot of different options. Tonight, kind of crafted the goals a little bit differently, one off a set piece, one a little bit of a howler by the goalkeeper, and was still a good example of transitional offense that this group of attackers can have for Louisville. But for them then to sit on this lead as well as they have for an hour, I think that's what JMH would like to see his team do this season and show that they can do it consistently.
Game management.
Game management. Huge.
And how important that will be as the schedule gets even more condensed during league play. 6 top 25 teams on the ACC schedule this season for Louisville. Fresh off a split Atlantic Division championship a season ago. Could have won it outright had they won on the final day of the regular season at Clemson. They will have a date with Clemson this season again. You know, that will be fresh on their minds. You'd think at some point, if you're one of those that pays attention to the top 25 like I do, that you would expect to see Louisville in the top 25 here at some point over the next week.
Yeah, you would think so. These have been the performance against St. Louis was really good, and I think St. Louis is going to need some time with a lot of the new faces they have. But this performance has been also very, very good of just confident. You know, they're not blowing the doors off of Bellarmine with 7 goals. And I wouldn't expect them to. Bellarmine's better than that, obviously. But just the ability to take the lead, get your early goals, take the air out of the tires, and just play this controlling style has been really impressive and really important for Louisville early in the season.
Final 5 minutes of action here from Dr. Markin City Lynn Stadium. Cards have put up 5 goals in the first 2 matches. 3 against St. Louis, 2 tonight here against Bellarmine, both in the first half. Makuma Ba and Brandon McManus on the scorer's sheet. And that man there, John Michael Hayden. Surprisingly, this will be the first time as a head coach that he begins 2-0 to start a season.
Huh. Well, I know he's worked really hard on crafting and molding this team and trying to make it what he wants it to look like, and this feels like it.
Diaz, 3rd time's a charm, off the side, netting. He cannot believe it. At some point, you just got to laugh.
Brozovic. Yeah, I don't know if that was going to go in, but still, Brozovic just an elite reaction save there. I mean, it's like a personal mission tonight for Matthew Brozovic to keep Nico Diaz out of the back of the net.
Aiden Nokas on for the corner. 12 corner kicks tonight, and that finds the back of goal. They have been knocking on the doorstep all second half, and this time it's Marcus Jorgensen putting it in.
Well, look out. Louisville opponents, another tall blonde center back is real dangerous on corners.
From Europe.
From Europe. Just clatters this one in. Good timing, just stuck with it. Back post. Bellarmine was so concerned about the runners in front of him that, I mean, and justifiably so. It's Josh Jones. But that back post header, pretty straightforward. Just redirect it. Good job, though, heading it down. That's hard to keep those headers down. That was a very, very technically sound finish.
How about these backline players coming up on the set piece and offering goals to the Cards? Jorgensen tonight, LaBelle on Thursday night against St. Louis.
Well, it's set pieces, and that's where you expect your center backs to get forward and make runs and be commanding in the air and be difficult to defend. And again, you know, not to repeat myself, but you saw what type of attention Josh Jones requires, and that's what makes these other guys so dangerous. Bryce LaBelle, Jorgensen here. I mean, just a really impressive group that they have getting forward on these set pieces for them to score, what now, 3 in 2 games off set pieces.
So 6 goals through the first 2 matches. And now maybe another opportunity. McManus still fighting to keep possession. Pinzone is over, and the advantage is given. Ryan Nichols getting set to come on for the Cards now as well. Final 2.5 minutes to play, and you'd think Louisville were chasing the game.
Well, this is where bringing in all these substitutes and playing your deep bench comes into play, as all these guys want to get in the score sheet, so they're not going to just sit around and pass around and play keep away.
Now Diaz. This time he's crossing it in for Pinzone. Mokas trying to keep it alive. He does. Can they find one more? Well, remember, folks, Friday night, 7:30, right here on the ACC Network Extra from Louisville. Tickets still available. Taking on a very good Seattle team that beat Notre Dame 3-1 earlier in the season. Just lost tonight 1-0 over in Lexington to a top 10 Kentucky team. Nico Diaz, what a night for the Cards. Just a terrific performance from the sophomore. Man, he wanted a goal. Had 3 really good opportunities. All 3 superb saves by Matthew Brozovic, including one on a ridiculous bender from 25 yards out over the wall.
Yeah, and that one, the one cutting back and playing a low shot across the goal, across the face of the goal, through traffic, that was a tough save. I mean, he legitimately had a number of real goal-scoring opportunities. I know they don't do it at the college level, but I would love to see his XG for tonight, because it might be the highest of any Louisville player.
Up ahead for McManus. First time in about 20 minutes that Gavin Kornacki has touched the ball. That speaks volumes to the way that Louisville controlled this match from start to finish. 2 goals in the first half and a dominant 45-minute performance. And then in the second half, weathered a bit of a storm from Bellarmine. Put the finishing touches on it on a header from Marcus Jorgensen.